Chosen Vessels, what's the deal? It's your main man, Druuill, and I am back at you again with another video. Let's get right into it. Just because they don't understand what they're doing doesn't mean you shouldn't. Always be on point. When dealing with certain people with certain personality traits, they're going to not know what they're doing at certain moments with you dealing with them. And I know that sounds strange. How can a person not know that they're doing something? When a person is doing something and they perceive it to be normal to them, but to you, it's unnatural and it doesn't seem logical. It doesn't seem like it's something that should be taking place with your dealings with this individual. This person is unaware of their behavior. Now, if it's happening to you and you are around this person, you're more than aware of the type of behavior that they're displaying to you. But there are people who are ingrained to behave a certain way, whether it have been passed down or whether it be spiritual. They think that this is just the way that they're supposed to behave, and they don't see any problem with that behavior that they have towards others. They think this is the way it's supposed to be between them and the people that they deal with. They don't find any problem at all with the things they see themselves doing. That's just how it's supposed to be. And on top of that, they see other people who don't behave this way as weak. They see other people who don't behave this way as someone who should be taken advantage of. They see themselves as better, more superior, and greater than those who don't act like them. They see you as easy, not being a challenge, and nothing for them to be concerned about. Not even the way that they treat you. And you can see that in the way that they treat you and possibly others. But just because they don't understand what they're doing doesn't mean you shouldn't. And you should always be on point. Some of us get with certain people, or some of us know certain people, and we wait for them to change. We think that that's just who they are, and we're partially right. But the thing is, people with personality disorders, unless they seek help, they're going to be stuck in their ways. Unless they seek some type of help, do some type of self-improvement, they're going to be pretty much stuck in their ways. And there's not going to be anything you can do about it except for hope and pray. And you may not want to do that right up underneath them, because they're not going to be able to see how their behavior affects others, because they have a lack of empathy. And if you have empathy, being around those who lack it is going to heavily be a draining process for you. It might even destroy you or part of yourself. All right, it might leave you a mental wreck. Might leave you a mental wreck. So rather than wreck your own mind over the behavior of someone else who really doesn't know how to treat other people, why waste your time trying to learn or figure out or wait on whether this person is going to change or not? because it takes a person to change that wants to change. So it takes the want, it takes the want of a person to change to change. People have to want to change. People have to see a need for change. And people have to be influenced or motivated or aware of why there needs to be a change. So you have to either be aware that there needs to be a change, you either need to be motivated to change, or you just need to know why change should should be a factor in this situation. But not everyone is aware that they need to change. Some people feel that what they do, there's nothing wrong with it. They consider themselves golden. They consider themselves not in need of any change. They don't feel there's anything wrong with them. And when you try to go to these kinds of people about the things that they're doing, that's why they have such an attitude, and they make it such a big deal, make such a problem out of it, because in their mind, they're perfect and there's nothing that they can do wrong. Nothing, nothing, nothing. All right, there's nothing they feel they can do wrong. If you don't know where that was from, that I just did, that nothing, 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 is from that Whitney Houston scene in that movie, The Preacher's Wife. All right, shout out to everybody who saw that movie, The Preacher's Wife. But back to the topic at hand. Just because they don't understand what they're doing doesn't mean you shouldn't. All right, there are people out there that are unaware of what they do, and that's why it's always good to forgive. It's always good to forgive for those that are unaware of what they're doing, that are unaware of their behavior. But it doesn't mean just because they don't understand, you shouldn't. There are things that people are going to do and ways they're going to behave that are going to throw you off and confuse you and make you think that something different will possibly happen. And nothing different is going to happen unless a person decides to make a change. So instead of play yourself over what someone else is doing, instead of play yourself and act like the behavior you just saw isn't happening, don't gaslight yourself, but be aware. Just because they don't understand doesn't mean you shouldn't. People who lack empathy aren't going to understand that the way they treat people has a lasting, profound effect on them. All right, there's some ways that people have been treated that left a profound, everlasting effect. Abuse, trauma, things that are very difficult for people to get over. The quicker you can realize that these kinds of things are taking place, the better you stand a chance of being able to heal a lot faster. Instead of having years of damage being done, being able to tell and be aware of what's happening can save you time off your life, can save you time in life regarding to having to deal with people that aren't aware, you know? And I wouldn't hold anything against them. You know, maybe they're unaware of their condition, but they're well aware of how they're treating others. So it's like either way, whether the person is totally unaware and you have to get away, or the person is unaware of their condition, but aware of how they're treating others. And the only reason I say unaware of how they're treating others is because they see no wrong. They see their treatment towards you as no fault given. All right, they don't see the error of their ways. They don't see the fact that they're causing a problem. They don't see the fact that their beliefs and their outlook on life is harmful towards somebody else. And the lack of empathy just drives it on home because they actually just don't care. But you have to, because it's you. You have to care. There's always going to be other people, other chances for a relationship, other jobs, other opportunities, other places to live, other people to be around. There's always going to be something else. So don't sell yourself short and feel that what you're going through right now is it, or what you have right now is all there's left. All right. So they're not going to be aware of their behavior. And it's like, it makes you think, it's like, how could a person not be aware of their treatment towards others and what it's doing? But there are some people that feel that the way they're treating others is perfectly fine, no matter how bad, how awful, how terrible. When a person lacks empathy, it's like they don't have good, like a good gene. All right, look at empathy and lack of empathy from the point of biology for a second, and think of it like having a certain gene. There are certain genes, good genes, that empaths have that allow themselves to put themselves in other people's shoes, to where you look at a person and you could see their flaws, you could see their weaknesses, you could see the things that could potentially be wrong with them, and you're not going to take those things out on a person. People who lack empathy, they see those things and they're like, oh, okay, it's time to use you for whatever reason I need to, because you don't possess similar qualities to myself. You don't possess that I don't care about anybody else except myself gene. And it's cool to put yourself first. You're supposed to. It's cool to put yourself first. You're supposed to put yourself first. You're not supposed to put anyone before yourself. But it's just a certain way you do that and a certain way you don't do that. All right. And I think we all know. I think we all know the way that you're not supposed to put yourself before other people and the way you are, because you don't lack empathy. You know that, okay, it's a certain way I'd want to be treated. It's a certain way you're supposed to treat people. Let me find a healthy balance in between the two, so that way I can have a positive, healthy impact on not only my own life, but the other people around me. When you care about how your attitude and the way you look at people and treat people and feel towards people affects others and not just yourself, that's you putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and being able to live righteously, live positively as a good person. But there are those who lack those good genes. All right, and that's why that this is why I put it this way, so you could actually like conceive it a little easier and look at it as, okay, it's just something that they don't have. It's like not everybody has a gene to be 6'5". Some people have short genes. A person who is short is not going to be tall. A person who has those type of genes or those type of traits is not going to have empathy or be good. They may appear good, they may seem like a good person, but you have to be careful of that, because there are other people who will stick up for people like them. And those are what you call the narcissistic cults, the narcissistic cult system, where they all know that they're not the best person, but they don't have the ability to care to fix it. So it's like they're aware of the type of person they are, and they're aware of the behavior that they dole out to others, but from a standpoint of viewing other people as weak and viewing themselves as superior and being on top. So they're aware of how they treat people, but it's because they see others as weak and they don't feel that everyone deserves respect because they're not strong like them. But what you'll realize is it takes a weak person to dole out a certain type of behavior towards other people. It takes a weak person to want to treat people in a way to where you have to constantly do it because it's something that you're lacking. So it's something that they're lacking, and it's more than empathy that they're lacking. But for the sake of this video, these are the two subjects that we're going to be touching on for the sake of the video. But just because they don't understand what they're doing, it doesn't mean you shouldn't. You should always be aware of what is going on around you, happening to you. All right. I know they say things don't happen to you, they happen for you, but it's only so much of a bad thing that you need to happen for you so you could get the message. All right. And that's why I'm putting videos out like this, so there can be people who need to be made aware that can get the message, if you catch my drift. All right. But you have to stay on point. You have to stay on point. These types of individuals will catch you off guard. They're very manipulative, very charming, um, very deceiving. They'll have you believing one thing, and really their actions will be showing something else. So that's why you have to pay attention to their, like, people's words more than their actions. All right, the best thing you can do now that you're aware of these types of spirits and types of individuals out here is just listen. When people talk, it's best for you to just listen. It's not good for you to be talking all the time. It's not good for you to be, you know, divulging too much information when it comes to talking to people. But the best thing you can do is just listen. And people will tell you about themselves if you listen long enough. And also if you pay attention to their behavior long enough. Their behavior will tell you a lot about them, obviously, and their conversation will tell you a lot about them, obviously, but not a lot of people will pay attention. Sometimes people are too caught up on looks, too caught up on being with someone, too caught up on having someone. Um, if you have went from not having anybody for a couple decades, couple years, maybe you just want to take it slow and take it easy with certain doing certain things and getting into certain business partnerships or relationships, because these types of people can tell whether you are quote unquote on game or a little slow when it comes to dealing with these types of individuals. And I don't mean slow in a bad way. I'm just using that to save time as a way just to explain you may lack some understanding in this area, but it's okay. It's not like you woke up looking for somebody to be evil towards you and thinking that you had to have some type of manuscript or instructions on how to defend your mind and save your soul at the same time. So, you know, thank God for this kind of information. But just because they don't understand what they're doing doesn't mean you shouldn't. They don't know that they're being evil. They don't know that their every move trying to manipulate someone is like a mental attack, you know? And it's like they want to cut you off from your idea about yourself. They want to cut you off from being able to realize what it is they're really up to. So not only will they act like they don't know, but they'll pretend that what they're doing isn't really causing you any harm. But they are aware that they wouldn't want to be treated like that, and they're aware that they don't let people treat them like that. So if you're around people who think they could treat you a certain way, and then when you go to express to them how it's affecting you, or you end up giving some of that treatment or that energy back because you're tired of it, and this person wants to not consider how you feel or not consider what it is they're taking you through, then that's how you know that this person lacks empathy. If they don't care about how they're treating you, if they're not willing to change how this person talks to you, how they're coming at you, how they choose to deal with you. If they don't want to change and they just want to keep doing the same thing and they don't think anything of it, They don't really take into consideration how it causes you to have to live your life through the depression, through the anxiety, through the headaches, the fatigue. All right. This person lacks empathy. And you may think that, oh, this person just doesn't care. Maybe they'll change. People who lack empathy don't care. And it's a wish on a star's chance that they'll change. Well, you can't expect somebody to give you what they don't have, as the old saying goes. What somebody doesn't have, you can't expect them to give it to you because they just don't have it to give. But if you have it to give, you have to give it to yourself, and you can't waste it on giving it to someone that doesn't have it. What you have to give, you have to give to yourself, and you can't waste time on giving it to someone that doesn't have it because it's not going to be reciprocated. And that's the whole saying of going to where you're celebrated and not just where you're appreciated. You gotta find out where you're going to be celebrated at. AKA be around people who have a similar spirit to yourself. You want to be around some people who don't lack understanding, but who have understanding. You want to be around people who you can work things out with, who you can communicate with and talk things out with. All right, these kinds of people won't want to communicate. They won't want to talk things out. They won't see themselves as causing a problem or being a part of the problem. They'll just see themselves as perfect, and you got to get with the program, and that's it. And it's different if somebody's program is benefiting you and them, and somebody's just being tight and being disciplined because they have to get to the next level, and they want you to be a part of their process and moving as a unit to do so. That's different. But when somebody is not taking into account to the way that they view you and how they look at you and how it's affecting you, that's someone that lacks empathy, and that's someone that you have to get away from. That's someone that you have to close the door on. That's someone that you have to go no contact with. That's someone that you have to avoid, stay away from, don't communicate with, no small talk, nothing. Act like if you have to work with this person, you know, um, you may have to ask for a different position. You may have to ask to be relocated, all right, to another part of the building. Sometimes people will work with you. All right, let these people know what you bring to the table, and let them know that the good job you do is being threatened by this person. And if they don't want their numbers, or they don't want their numbers or work morale or business to go bad or sour, then they need to move you away from them or move them away from you. All right, when you deal with these situations and people are being uncanny and difficult, and you have to deal with these kinds of people, always go to the authorities from a position of authority, or a position of power. Don't go to them or HR or your manager or whoever, or apartment manager. Don't go to these people begging on your knees. All right, go to these people from a position of power. Always tell them what you bring to the table and why they need to make a change, because losing you would be a threat to what they have going on. All right, if somebody's making your job difficult, when you go to HR, like, hey, you know that good job I do? This person's going to end up putting it to a halt if you don't move them away from me. If you don't get this person out of my business or out of my face while I'm trying to do my job, and then if it becomes difficult for me to do my job, then the percentage of the work that I get done every day is going to drop. I'm just saying. And I know you don't. I'm a valuable player when it comes to this business. I know you don't want. I know you don't want business to drop. I know you don't want business to go bad, because that's then the people above you are going to start looking at you kind of weird, and they're going to think nobody's doing their job, all because it's one knucklehead. See, you have to be convincing when you talk to people, and you have to, when you're dealing with these types of situations, and where people don't care, you have to at least put something in their ear to give them a reason why they should care. Because when you deal with people like this and you're at work or you're living somewhere, they're not going to care. Hey, hey, I don't know if this is how this person pays their rent, but I know I pay mine on time, every week, every time. And from what I see, somebody like that causing trouble, worried about other people, being a nincompoop, being a non-sequential, non-sensical type of person. Hey, who would you rather have? The person that pays their rent every time, or the person that's always a week late or late. Put something in their mind to make them want to care. Put something in their mind to make them reconsider why they're dealing with you in the first place, whether they're taking business from you, whether you're providing a service to them, or whether you're at work and you're working for them. You want to be able to handle a situation and get people out of your hair, get your life back to where it used to be, because everybody remembers how good things were before these types of people came into their life or they had to deal with them. And it's like the amount of stress and pressure that these types of people give, it's like by the time you get done dealing with them, it's like, yo, you just want your life back. So that last part right there will help when you have to try to convince people why you're the one who should, be looked at as a good person or a better person, or why they should take your plight into consideration, because hey, it's affecting your it's affecting your work morale, it's affecting the percentage of the work that you put out. So it's like you have to make them take into consideration why they should care. All right, don't just give up and be like, oh, they don't care, or oh, this and that, or if you can, if you can work it out, work it out. But it's always good to communicate. It's always good to be verbal. It's always good to speak up for yourself, stand up for yourself, and tell people what's on your mind. So that way you're just not holding in all this darkness, because dealing with people like this, that's what they bring to the table. They don't bring nothing but darkness. And when you have to deal with them, they could potentially make you live with that darkness. And that's not something that you want to do. All right, so that's enough for this video. That's pretty much it. I'd like to thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace, love, and light. We out.